Hello, my name is Roman Havrylyuk from ORIL, and this is Innovation Blueprint, where we explore everything PropTech, tech landscape, PropTech technologies, startups, data and AI, IoT, and so much more. And today we're joined by Ivo Draginov, the co-founder and president at BatchService, a comprehensive property intelligence platform. Happy to have you on this podcast, Ivo. And to kick things off, can you give us a brief overview of what is your role at the company and what the company does?
Sure. My name is Ivo Draginov, originally from Bulgaria. I'm the co-founder, president of the company. There's two additional co-founders, Jesse and Annie. And the company is really a prop tech company. We're oftentimes, the company behind the company. That's the underlying, the foundation for that a lot of companies use to be able to make things out of, depending on what service they're offering. We provide property data, a lot of predictive analytics data to companies, and a lot of the raw data feeds that they need to power their own applications, derive insights, do real estate investing, underwriting, and so forth. So we play in a lot of different niche, everything from prop tech companies to real estate investors to service companies, home service companies, banking, insurance. There's a lot of kind of different avenues that or different industries that use our data.
Gotcha. Thank you, Ivo. There are a number of data companies within this space. What differentiates you from your competition or your closest peers?
Yeah, really good question. There's a lot of other companies obviously in the space. And one of the fundamental differences between us and some of our competitors is the fact that years and years ago we were really built. Honestly, we built a company. I'm going to preface it a little bit before I kind of answer your question, but we in 2018, myself, Jesse, and Annie wanted to really solve our own business needs. And we started building some different softwares and platforms to be able to really just enhance our own investing. We were active real estate investors at the time, doing nationwide investing and wholesaling. So we were in the process of really just trying to figure out how do we solve our own needs in the space, and how do we make our business more operationally efficient, so it can add to the bottom line. And as a result, we ended up building different products, one of which was a product called Batch Leads. The other product that followed soon after that was Batch Dialer. But it really enabled investors to be able to buy and sell deals, underwrite real estate investing deals at scale in an easy way. So and I'm kind of giving you this answer because all it kind of fits in this kind of like box as far as what differentiates us from really anybody in the space. So our existing product, Batch Data, really wasn't a product or even an idea in 2018, 2019. Wasn't really until probably later stages in 2019, 2020 when we started thinking about, hey, we're using all this data for our own softwares, our Batch Leads and our Batch Dialer that use our underlying APIs that we've built from scratch. If I have these needs, if our prop tech companies have those needs for these enterprise grade APIs and the robustness of just being able to hit the API hundreds of millions of times on a monthly basis, then most likely other companies are going to want the same thing. And then obviously as a prop tech company, as a founder, I knew a lot of a lot of other real estate investors that were trying to do a lot of the same things. So I came up with the idea to we can package our existing API on the infrastructure that we've built and really just name it, Batch Data. That basically what it is today that we sell. In an easy way for people to utilize with transparent pricing, with again enterprise grade API capabilities. And that's really what became what Batch Data is today. That's really the foundation of what the existing product is today. As a result, we sold two of our other products just last year, our Batch Leads and our Batch Dialer, to PropStream. They're owned by Stewart Title, a publicly traded company. We sold those two divisions of the business late last year, and currently we're entirely focused on our Batch Data product. Well, Batch Data, again, as I mentioned, wasn't really, we didn't really have, from the get-go, we didn't think about selling this as a standalone product. So it was really built to support our front of house, our productized offerings, the two products that I mentioned that we ended up selling off. And as a result, we built these APIs to really function very efficiently, to be able to serve, again, as I mentioned, millions and millions of data points on a monthly, weekly basis without the API crashing, being able to have nested API queries to the point where you can hit an API and get from one to hundreds of different data points in a single API call with very low latency. And we ended up packaging this our product of what it is today. So what makes us different today is from the very beginning of our data, we didn't want to rely on a single data vendor, and we instead focused on how do we compile as many data sources as possible. How do we buy as many data sources and obviously data vendor contracts as possible to be able to curate a data set that we truly believe in is the most accurate, with the highest fill rates, the fastest update cycles in the industry. And I would say up to today, that's one of our kind of original ideas that really separates us from the pack. Whereas the other companies, I don't want to mention some of the names, but it's really just a licensing model. You pay X amount, you get a data feed, and you're able to obviously do whatever you want with it, whether you're reselling it or using it. But we do it a little bit different, where we actually compile from actually 17 different data sources, and we create a really an identity graph for for the properties, and that includes not just the assessor recorder data, which is obviously public data, but also we overlay everything from consumer demographics, permit data, and not only do we ingest all of these traditional data sources, the raw data sources that get published in public information, but we derive a lot of insights, predictive insights, as to really who's the most likely to sell, to refinance a property in the next 6 months, 12 months, and so forth. So today we many companies use us, including the likes of Amazon and Ring, and there's some of the largest mortgage originators in the country, where they ingest a lot of our data, whether it's just the raw property data, the geocoding, address verifications, or really our predictive modeling to be able to overlay on top of their own internal models and be able to derive the insights that they need. So, for instance, we are working, and I don't want to mention the company, but they are the largest mortgage originator in the country, and we've been able to, provide a significant increase in their likelihood to refinance models when we've layered, what their models are telling us, and then obviously layering on top our models on top of it. We've been able to provide them a lot of insights or additional, again, actually in this case, 4 to 6x percentage points lifts, and
That's impressive.
who's likely to refinance. It's very impressive, yeah, considering that they have that's really a net lift on top of their own existing models. So that's in a nutshell. I mean, that's what kind of separates us from some of the companies. We're not just the raw data feeds.
Yeah, and I can reflect to that as well, because we've worked with your data feeds to deliver some of that to our customers, and I can say that I can clearly see that it comes from a business environment and then into the service. Sometimes startups start the other way around. They start with an idea and then they kind of shape it into the business, and I can clearly see how you guys went the other way, which is, I believe, to be probably the most effective way to kind of target the actual need of the market, and I can only reflect that. In terms of the platform, the question that I like to ask is, what are some of the unexpected or unique ways that you've seen your customers use your data? Obviously, we're talking about underwriters, about property owners, managers, but is there a use case where it's just stood out for you and you weren't expecting for someone to use your data in a certain way?
Yeah, there's a couple of kind of companies that kind of come to mind also with this question. One is really, we work with a company called Daikin. They're the biggest air conditioning manufacturer in the world. So that's not typically a company that I would have expected
Mm,
in, one property data, honestly.
mhm,
Because
mhm.
my initial thought was like, what does Daikin want with property data, basically? Well, what they do is, and again, their business model, obviously, and I know what I know as far as, some of the use cases that they've mentioned on certain calls, but basically they look at the property data, they analyze property details as far as, what properties are being built in existing locations, what the size of those properties are, bedroom, bathroom, square footages. They're looking at also the permit databases to see what properties are being, where air conditioners are being installed, where solar is being installed, and they use that data in their internal modeling to be able to predict what size air conditioning units they're going to end up building in the future. So that's a use case that I honestly wouldn't have thought about until they came through as a lead source and they became a customer. Other companies are obviously a little bit more. We sell data to like a company called True Green. They do a lot of like marketing. They do a lot of I shouldn't say marketing. They actually use our data for some of marketing purposes, but they are nationwide, and I believe they're actually in both in U.S. and Canada as well. They do landscaping services.
Mm,
Well, they analyze a lot of properties, not only residential but also commercial properties, as far as land sizes and obviously who's got certain parcel sizes to be able to target homeowners and be able to obviously acquire new customers. Um, Ring, the camera company that's owned by Amazon, as an example, are looking at our vacancy data, the USPS vacancy data, to be able to analyze where vacant properties are in the country, and as a result, they
interesting.
do some form of marketing to those
Okay.
homeowners or individuals um, to be able to, obviously sell more Ring products.
I love that. That's why I love this question. Is basically it expands the ways of kind of looking at opportunities linearly, and the HVAC company is an interesting example. You wouldn't think that they would need that kind of information, but it makes sense when you think of it. That on the other way around, when a business analyst in such a large corporation doesn't think this way, it kind of brings up the question, why wouldn't they think this way, right?
I agree, 100%
Interesting.
agree.
Thank you, Ivo. Next, I like to talk about AI. Obviously, it's something that is revolutionary, changes the way we all operate, we all do our business. Just curious, how did AI impact your business over the last several years? Is BatchService's data AI ready? Do you work with MCP servers? Can you tell us a little bit about the AI story, how it changed your business, and how you adapt to this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AI is obviously impacting everybody's businesses. Anyway, if it's I can't think of a business that's not being impacted by AI currently. And if you're not using AI in your business today in today's world, I mean, obviously, I don't think you're going to be in business in 3 years probably. I think it's very hard to keep up with companies if a company's not using AI today. It really is. I mean, honestly, like I can't I can't verbally express how much AI has really impacted our business. It's impacted it in such significant ways that it's fully transformed how we operate as a business. And as I mentioned, we like, and actually I didn't mention this, but we had multiple companies in the past. We had 4 different products at one point. We ended up selling 2 of them, merged the third product and the fourth product, and we currently just focus on our batch data kind of ecosystem right now. But at one point, we had become about a 260 people company, doing about 30, 35, $36 million in annual revenue. So at that point, that was in the 2022 to 2024 time frame. And quite honestly, like, you know, we as a company were growing prior to 2022, and then, you know, just with the economy, the real estate market shifting, the whole interest rates, you know, going, you know, up in mid 2022, June, July era time frame, really kind of impacted our business, because our business at the time was heavily reliant on, and again, we had multiple other products, but it was heavily reliant on the real estate market, just transactions being the nationwide real estate, how many transactions are being, you know, transacted nationally. It's been at, you know, some of the lowest levels. So our business really, you know, and I'm saying this because, you know, like, this is how the company used to operate, with, again, about 260 employees at its peak. And a lot of things were just, obviously, this is all kind of prior to AI, and obviously ChatGPT came around, 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago, but it really didn't kind of catch steam, you know, for a lot of the you know, major companies. And currently, obviously that's one way of running things. Obviously, everybody, there was a lot of middle management, there was a lot of, you know, project managers and so forth. Very kind of a traditional, you know, organizational structure. That's how we were built upon. You know, we ended up selling the larger portion of the business. A lot of the employees went with the acquiring company at the time, and we got left with about 40 people. Actually, about 36 to 37 people, and within the new company. So I can tell you that today, with about 40 people within the company, we do more work than, and are more productive than we were at our peak with 260 employees.
This is mind blowing.
And
This is
it's
mind
just,
blowing.
yeah, that's why I'm saying it's really transformational of how much AI has impacted our business. I mean, everything from um, you know, operationally, everything from, like, you know, finance, you know, support and doing onboardings, to, you know, obviously engineering is obviously the big one. Everything from you know, data acquisition, being able to create with AI some of the, because I didn't mention this, but we also do a lot of data acquisitions ourselves, in addition to licensing a lot of, like, data from various vendors. We have 1,000 plus, actually, I would say 1,000 plus. We have the majority of the country, a lot of the database of the majority of the country we acquire ourselves, from all publicly available sources. So just that motion alone, we've been able to fully, you know, replicate with, you know, obviously with writing some of the Python scripts with AI, making sure everything flows smoothly. And it's really, like, you know, it seems like our company is working significantly better. I mean, 10x is really an understatement. Because everything from, like, I mean, being able to, like, you know, acquire data from all of the various counties, being able to go through all of the, you know, data acquisition, because every single county at the end of the day is different. Data acquisition with AI, with the assistance of AI, and having some of those human in the loop checks as well, has been really transformational. Everything, again, from, you know, QA, automated QA testings, we find significantly more, even, you know, even production bugs, QA bugs, you know, everything before we roll out features. Things are better suited for releases today than they ever were, with, you know, a team of, at one point we had about 20 QA testers.
Wow.
And currently, I mean, we have a few QA testers that heavily use AI, and we are, you know, we've been able to find more bugs, we've been able to move quicker. It's really, like, I mean, I can't say enough as far as how much AI has impacted our business, honestly.
Yeah.
And as far as the data readiness portion to your question, I mean, everything from our perspective maps to a unique identifier, because part of the issue with AI, and yes, we do have MCP servers and everything else enabled, so the AI systems can fully utilize our API documentation in an easy to understand, you know, for AI platforms way, fully built out MCP servers, and as I mentioned, like, we normalize a lot of addresses, so we have about really, I think, over 500 million or so addresses that come into our warehouse from various sources, and there a lot of them are non-normalized addresses. So you can get, for instance, the county assessor says, 123 West, spelled out West Main Street. You can get it from the permit database base says, just a W, so that's like a second address. Then the street is spelled out from, let's say the consumer demographics database is actually spelled out. So now all of the, you have like, obviously from an AI system, if you're working with a lot of bad data, you're looking at three, individual, three different addresses here. So
Mm-hmm.
we do a lot of work on the back end to be able to normalize everything, map everything to a unique identifier. And we do use the United States Postal Database as our source of truth, a lot of it, because everything really is mapped to that unique identifier and everything else gets built on top of that. So for an AI system to utilize our platform, our APIs, it's been, we've been ready for, quite a long time, honestly, but we've been really trying to push the boundaries as far as how do we enable more use cases? How do we make it easier for customers to, get access to our data? Really the whole democratization of data. And I'll say this has been like a kind of a personal problem that I've been trying to resolve, because as I've been, I've been in the forefront of just acquiring, just working with data companies, whether it's a bulk data feed or even back in the day in 2016, 2017, when I used to do it for my own investing business. It was very problematic to acquire, how, just contracts work, how, these companies want to sell data. It just didn't resonate with me, quite honestly. I prefer to be able to just kind of just go on the website, see if I can, get some sample data, just
Mm-hmm.
get myself. I want to be able to see transparent pricing, and that just didn't exist in the industry. It actually still doesn't exist in the industry, quite honestly, which is mind-boggling to me. So one of my goals has been really to democratize the access to this data through MCP servers, through various other, like being able to be transparent with our pricing as far as, hey, for X amount of dollars, and you can get started for as little as, $1,000, sometimes even less, to be able to get 100,000, 200, $300,000 property addresses. If you want to layer on top of, different other data points, such as, permit data, listing data, demographics, whatever else you want, skip tracing, contact information. Those are all data points you can get as just add-ons, but everything is transparent as far as what you're going to pay. And once you kind of get set up, and setup obviously is trivial. I mean, also you're just signing up with you can just log in with your Google, create an account, download the an API key, plug it into Claude, and you're up and running in a matter of like 5 minutes,
Right.
if
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it's been very like that's one of my goals, honestly, to really try to democratize access to this data, because at the end of the day, I don't see that the raw property data is the secret sauce. Honestly, we focus a lot on being able to be to push the boundaries when it comes to predictive analytics and proprietary models that we build on top of all of the raw data feeds that we acquire. Because the raw data feeds, the data gets commoditized. The access from counties, and even counties and governmental agencies are becoming more efficient as far as the platforms that they use, and how they publish and redistribute data to various other companies. So the money is not in the raw data feeds. It's really in the proprietary analytics and predictive data.
And have you noticed the customers' expectations that they changed over these last couple of years with AI and the data availability? Do you see that reflected in your conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we oftentimes right now are honestly having a lot of conversations about customers just accessing our MCP server, because now you're having a lot of like, I would say like non-technical founders, but I mean the non-technical founder could be even a junior engineer or somebody who knows how to get certain things done. But we're having a lot of conversations with individuals, data analysts specifically, that are working in some of these larger companies and want to be able to access our API. And then it's like, well, how do I construct this query? And obviously we have all of that information available, but right now it's a matter of just, like I said, plugging it into like an using the MCP server, which you can obviously just do with OAuth sign up. Just log in with your existing account with just a click of two buttons. Enable it in your working environment, whether you're using Cursor or whatever ID you're using, or even just Claude as well, and be able to just ask any questions. Just a couple of days ago, I talked to a large they're a family office. They're kind of a unique business, but they're technically a family office, but they help a lot of founders with a lot of their data needs when it comes to, and they do a lot of consulting as far as acquiring larger commercial properties. So we spoke to their data analyst, and they had all of these workflows built inside of NA10. Just, hey, obviously, if these then that scenarios, and they had these APIs wired up, and we talked about the idea of potentially going to just the MCP route, because they were trying to figure out how do we democratize this and make it so that, because we can today pull the data with some of the workflows that we've built, but they have the know-how, they have some of the expertise in-house to be able to do that, but they want to be able to provide their actual companies that they consult with ways of accessing this data easier. So we've talked about, I mean, MCP is the quickest path to getting there. You just set up the account, you authenticate the MCP server, the API, and then you're in business, and you can ask your cloud, hey, like, give me properties that are maybe an acre, that are an acre or over in land size, or have sold or haven't sold in the last 20 years, and are in this geography, and then that meet this criteria, and then maybe the owner, the owner is an out-of-state owner as well. And boom, in a matter of a couple of seconds, you get the answer.
In the past, building such a filter will probably take an engineer, whatever, maybe hours, depending on the infrastructure and everything. And I can just mirror what you're saying in terms of operations. We didn't change our team size. However, we managed to deliver much more for our clients with all of the AI kind of innovation that is happening. It's basically whatever we delivered, let's say 3 years ago, is probably 5 to 10x now, which is just mind blowing. And to wrap the AI part of the conversation, I wanted to speak a little bit more about the challenges that BatchService is trying to solve within the industry today. What are you working on today? What are maybe some announcements that you might want to make, and where do you see the company in 1, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, well, we as a company have been growing significantly over the past 12 months. Whether it's because, obviously like I said, we've been a lot more productive. We've increased the velocity of rolling out new products, new data sets. We're in the process of just rolling out, honestly, we have in our pipeline 4 additional kind of like major initiatives that we're rolling out. I would say July, August, September. By October, we're going to roll out 4 additional kind of like major data sets, parcel boundaries being one of them, which is a data point that we've honestly been missing for some time. We've actually had a lot of it, just haven't been able to. We haven't actually productized it, and just from market adoption, there's a lot of opportunity currently for us as far as when we've expanded our use cases and the different types of industries that come to us right now. There's more and more of a need for some of this parcel boundary. We're doing significant enhancements to our permit data to be able to provide more coverage nationwide, be able to provide companies with a lot more data, and we're not focusing specifically. Honestly, we try to eliminate the noise around this data, because there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of data. So obviously, like you can be the greatest engineer, the greatest data analyst, but too much data is too much data, honestly. And we're really focused on providing you the insights that you need to be able to make the next decision that you need to make. So for instance, one of the things that I'm excited to actually working on, actually getting started next week to work on more in depth, is the ability to be able to give storm chasers and anybody in the roofing solar industry the insights of specifically which houses to go after and which houses were significantly impacted by weather events. And this is not looking at historical kind of like patterns, which we have like weather data like from governmental agencies of let's say tornadoes or what weather events happened. We're to the point where we can do a lot of this to tell you which house got hit by hailstorm and how big of a hailstorm yesterday, not a month ago, yesterday.
Wow.
And we can provide you that information everything about the homeowner that you want to know, including their contact information. Obviously, if you want to do, call them, text them, drive by the house, do a mailer, whatever else you want to do from a marketing need. And every obviously industry has different ways they can market to, but we're able to give you a lot of those insights basically the day that it happened.
Wow. And would that be sourced by, I don't know, satellite imagery, county data reporting? Just curious. You don't need to reveal it if it's a secret sauce, but
it's sourced by like real-time weather events. And we crunch all of this data, analyze it, and are able to provide you exactly how this house got impacted. And we're not specifically talking, we're down to the actual property level. And with a certain degree of obviously accuracy as far as how likely what's the likelihood that this property got hit by 1-inch hail yesterday? Is it an 80% predictability, or is it 90, or is it 100 basically, as far as what we know? So there's gonna be a lot of kind of new data sets that are coming up, and we are again pushing the boundaries as far as how quickly can we get you the data. And how obviously, and that's really how quickly can we get you the right data in front of you so you can make decisions. Because I didn't actually kind of get into this. There was a prior question that you asked me around kind of what separates us. I mean, as I mentioned, not only are we buying a lot of data from different companies and established companies like some of the raw data aggregators, but we're also sourcing our own data feeds. But as a result, we're able to see like which county has the latest, the most updated like frequency. What's the update frequency for every single county? And there's like 3,200 counties that each have their own different update frequencies. And you as a data vendor, let's say I'm buying data from you as an example. Your update frequency might be 3-4 days late for a certain county. Then by the time I process it, I'm basically 3-4 days late. Now, if I have it from a different data vendor, I can get it directly from the actual county, that on day one of when the data gets published, then I can just use that data source to be able to update our entire database and be able to always provide much better data than you, or let's say our competitor in this case. So those are some of the things that we're working on to be able to really like figure out in real time what signals matter for you to be able to make the decisions that you need to make for your business. And we're trying to push the boundaries as far as we're not interested in, like, let's say pre-foreclosure data that's 2 weeks old. We want to know which pre-foreclosures happened yesterday or are about to happen through our predictive analytics. You can act accordingly. And that's really like where we're trying to push the boundaries, obviously, in addition to those, like I mentioned, some of the data sets that we have coming up. And we're really trying to push the boundaries as we're gaining more and more market adoption.
Yeah, I totally agree, and with the vision that the raw data feeds is a service in and of itself, but it becomes more and more of a commodity, and more needs to be baked into that to actually kind of push the envelope and bring additional value. And in terms of the roofing companies, I remember a use case where. And you mentioned that you also provide the permitting information, and for the roofing business, it's kind of there's a whole menu of things that you just mentioned. For instance, another use case could be some states, some counties have regulation that you need to update your roof every X amount of years, let's say 20 years, and if you see that the last permit was issued close to 20 years ago, that's probably a good signal for you to reach out to this household. Awesome, I love it. And kind of the fact that you provide this information can lead to a very comprehensive kind of marketing and targeting abilities, not only for roofing businesses, but pools, landscaping, many things like that. Ivo, just to wrap things up, anything that you'd like to share, any announcements, any other things that you'd like to speak about today?
I mean, I mentioned some of the things obviously that we have coming up. Honestly, like I mentioned, the parcel boundaries that'll be out like very soon. the more like permit data. Like I said, I'm excited about the whole roofing thing, and we've built out the prototype, so we know it works. It's figuring out some of the details to actually productize that and be able to scale it and build it into our existing pricing plans. But I'll say honestly, there's a for every industry there's competitors. But really, I think people should try to evaluate how they think about data testing and obviously come to their own conclusions when they're evaluating different vendors, because oftentimes companies hide behind some marketing lingo and marketing terms. I've seen that honestly so many times. Obviously, hey, we have 99% coverage in this in field. I would just ask people if they're looking to acquire any kind of new data source, whatever vendor it is, whatever industry it's for, actually. Do your own research, because oftentimes these numbers don't pan out as their marketing claims. Obviously, there's salespeople and marketing people that do their own thing as far as to acquire new leads, and then obviously there's the actual data itself. And we've been really focused on the actual data itself to be able to have it speak for itself. And like I said, we've gone against some of the largest companies in the industry. We got evaluated by Amazon. They actually evaluated 7 other companies before they became a customer. And if I remember correctly, it was probably a 4-month testing process that they went through.
Wow. Wow.
And they determined that we have the best, actually in this case, geocoding data in the industry. And some additional data sets that they're buying from us. But yeah, so have test data, make sure you know how to test it. And today, honestly, it's much easier to test than before, because you can just have your AI, Claude or Chat GPT or whatever else you're using, do some of the data analysis, and give you some of the insights that for you to make an informed decision.
Thank you, Ivo. And I can vouch for that. As I mentioned, we worked with BatchService on several occasions, and I can confidently say that when we work with people, they're often impressed with the broadness and the availability of the data set. Thank you for this conversation. Check out batchservice.com to see more of the services and data endpoints that you can use in your business. And subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And please let us know if you have any questions in the comments. Thank you, Ivo.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.